Welcome and welcome back, icons of the world, to the Metro Icon Podcast. And in case you guys don't know who I am, I'm Shawn Kay the Showman of Do It All Entertainment and DIA Media to bring you this very fun podcast episode. But before I got into that, I have to let you know of the different things that we got going on. The Library Bar is now the full resident spot you can catch me at every single week. The first and third Tuesdays of the month are the live podcast party with On Air Don't Care. Me and my guy, Blue Label Johnny, lay down our explosive dynamic in a live interaction show where outside of the off-the-wall topics of discussion, we bring on people who sign up for an interview slot to discuss anything they would like to engage with us about. We are the only ones doing this anywhere around DFW. So if you want to see what it's about and showcase yourself, you can catch us at the Library Bar every first and third Tuesday of the month for the live podcast party, or catch the link on our socials. Then on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, I am hosting an open mic and karaoke night for everyone to come and have fun and showcase any original material, whether it be comedy, music, or whatever. What we're trying to do is put together a talent showcase that happens every other month. So this will be on the second Wednesday of March, and we're going to showcase all these amazing talents that come through. So come to the Library Bar on Tuesday nights, show us what you got, and let's put you on. And of course, I got various shows I'm doing all around DFW to bring comedy or DJing to your night. So if you want to follow me, make sure you guys go on my Instagram at Shawn Kay Do It All to get the announcement of upcoming shows and events to check out. And of course, we got to talk about our sponsors, y'all. First, we have InsiderCloth.com. It is the last microfiber cloth you will ever need. Look, we all know the habit of using our shirts and fabrics to clean off our screens and glass lenses. But what we don't understand is that we can actually lessen the quality and visibility of those surfaces. So Insider Cloth is an innovative solution that's so easy to apply to most of your common wear, and it's seriously the best kept secret to that common habit. So go to insidercloth.com and apply the promo code DIA Cloth, that's DIACLOTH, and get 10% off your next order. And I got to tell y'all about Teddy Johnson of D&K Contracting. Y'all, this dude is the do-it-all of contract work for your next home restoration project or insurance claim, especially with all the new regulations in the state of Texas for those insurance repairs on your home. This is the guy who will take away your biggest headaches to make sure you not only get it done right, but he will provide you the greatest return of result. Just email him and get a free consultation at teddyj.dkcontracting@gmail.com, and you'll see why every person he works with goes back every single time and says Teddy Johnson to get your thing done for your home. And finally, whether it's your next live event or live media production, we are your one-stop event shop. Hit up Do It All Entertainment and DIA Media to get you fully covered on your entertainment or media production needs, and you can get up to $150 off your next contract package just by mentioning the Metro Icon Podcast. Now, I'm going to talk to you about this episode. I'm talking to my homie within the comedy game. He is also another member of the Comedy Junkie Society that I am with, put on by George Red Speaks. This is my boy, our Heavenly Father, Kevin Sutton, who is coming up in the comedy game himself, but he also works in the marketing world on some of the biggest TV commercials you see. So go ahead and turn your speakers up. Here's my episode with Kevin Sutton, a.k.a. our Heavenly Father.
You can do it all. You can't.
Do it all, baby.
That's right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once again to another episode of the Metro Icon Podcast, where you know what we do. We talk about the world of entertainment and media and the icons that live in it. And I got a man who I personally consider extremely iconic. He's been known to say some very, very funny and wild things on a microphone. But he's got a little bit of a story, and I'm trying to figure out what those stories are to the journey that led him to where we are today. So, ladies and gentlemen, here on today's episode, I got my man, Mr. Kevin Sutton, a.k.a. our Heavenly Father, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Let's give it up for him.
Man, what a good audience.
I know.
Yeah.
They came for you, Cub.
That's great.
came
They
for
sound
you.
the same every single show, which is amazing.
I got a loyal following.
Yeah, you sure do.
So, man,
Well, first of all, calling me an icon is like calling Garland a tourist destination, but I'll take it.
I mean, come on. I said a personal icon.
I know. I just joked.
I did say personal icon. So yeah, man, I'm appreciative that you were able to come through and make this episode happen, man. Have you ever been on a podcast before?
Nope. No.
Oh man, I'm breaking that podcast share.
I know, it's awesome, isn't it? Actually, you know what? I have been on a podcast before. I was on an advertising podcast, come to think of it. So
okay.
Yeah.
And was the setup as luxurious and lucrative as this one?
Yeah, well, you know what? It was on my phone, and the other guy was on the phone in L.A. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah,
this is the real deal.
Yeah.
This is the real
There were
deal
no
in
cameras.
person.
It was all like a podcast.
Okay, yeah. Well, this one's audio and
Yeah,
video.
right.
We got to show.
I'd have shade if I knew that.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, anyway.
You know, you're all good. You got that good. You got that good shade. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like that. It's not a 5 o'clock shadow, but it's
4:35.
Yeah, maybe around there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say after midnight.
Oh
but,
yeah, you may be right. Yeah, I was thinking 4:35 the next morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
There we go. So yeah, man. I've seen you through the comedy scene. Of course, both of us are in Comedy Junkie Society, along with George Red. How long have you been doing stand up?
It's hard to say. Probably nonstop for about a little over a year.
A year?
Yeah, I started. It's a funny story. I started. I write advertising, and I've been writing, my whole life, and hopefully it's been funny stuff. And so the writing part of it was never hard for me. I never had an inkling to do stand up until I don't know, about 4 years ago. I was in San Francisco, maybe 5 years ago, with my wife, and I were there for a wedding, and we went to get something to eat. And this guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey man, you like comedy shows?" I said, "Yeah." And he handed me this card. He goes, we have a show starting at 8 or something like that. So, my wife and I got something to eat, and we were like, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" She's like, "You want to go see that comedy show?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." So I pulled this thing out and it's like, "Okay, let's go look for this place." It was nearby, and I'm walking around, and it's kind of an industrial area. And it's like, where is this place? But I see like 3 guys down in the into the smoke in there smoking. I said, that's got to be the comedians. They're all, and so I walk up and they go, "Hey, you here for the comedy show?" I said, "Yeah." "All right, $5 each." We go in, and it's a room that's maybe, tiny room. And the only reason I knew it was a comedy show is because there was a microphone in the front. There was wigs all over. It's like, what the hell is this? And the seats were just like the desks that you used to get at school, with the desk chairs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we sit down, and, we were the first 2 there, and I'm thinking, are we going to get beat up? And then other people showed up. So it was maybe 20 people there. And, first guy gets up, and he's kind of funny. I'm sorry, the woman who runs the thing gets up, and she says, she's from Ethiopia. She'd only been in the States for a couple of years. She'd always wanted to do comedy, so she rents this wig shop out. It's like, oh, that explains things. On Friday nights. The ladies, the lady has a wig shop, she gets extra money. So anyway, so we watch this thing, and the first guy is kind of funny. He's a really overweight teacher from Oakland, and he was good because he was talking about himself. Next guy got up, and he was not good. Mm-hmm. And the third guy got up, and he was not good. And my wife's like, "You should get up there and do that." And I was like, "Well, I don't think it works that way. I don't think you just walk up and start talking. I think you got to and then I said, if I'm not as good as those people, I'll kill myself. If I'm not as funny." And so then this other guy gets, like the 5th guy gets me, and he tells like one joke, and he goes, "That's it. You know what? Screw it." And he walked off. I was like, wow. So I sat there, and honestly, I hadn't thought about it until my wife said, "You should go up there and try that." So about, I don't know, maybe 7 months later, I was doing a package of commercials for Vision Works, and the woman that we hired, a really funny woman, Christy Nichols, she said, she goes, "Hey, at the last day of the shoot, we shot 5 days. She goes, "Hey, if you're ever back in Santa Monica, I've got a comedy club I run on Monday nights." I said, "Okay." So about 2 weeks later, I was out there for editing something, and I went and watched it. I said, I don't know. I was like, man, I want to do that. So I happened to be out there again about 6 weeks later, and I said, "Hey," I texted her and say, "Can I do this?" And she goes, "Well, I usually want people who have done this before," but she goes, "You know what? I've met you before." Yeah. So man, I was like, I got 5-minute gig. It's like, oh my God. So I wrote this thing, wrote it. And to me, like I said, the writing part wasn't hard. It was the performing part. And then I started thinking, oh shit, I got to go perform this stuff. and I got to memorize it. And that's just hard for me. It's like, so I had it all. I mean, I had it all memorized and everything. Anyway, she didn't tell me it was 5 minutes. I just wrote the stuff. So she goes, hey, there's a new guy. So I go up on there and I start talking. And I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? I was like freaking out. Like, So,
and have you been in, like, done stage performances?
No.
Never.
No, the first thing I did was I as I was walking up, I mean, this is a stupid joke, but I came up with this joke. I was walking up and I said, hey, everybody, this is my first time I've ever done this. All my friends told me to just tap into the comedians that I loved growing up. And even now I said, so I'm going to do my best Louis C.K. All you women in the front 2 rows, move back, please. And I just remember doing that. And then I don't remember anything else. Anyway, so I get done. And, after the end of the she goes, hey, that was really good. And her partner in the thing comes and goes, hey, next time you do this, make sure you don't run the light. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I was waving the light at you. I said, oh, I thought you were just like waving at me. He goes, no. He goes, you get 5 minutes. He goes, how long was I? He goes, I don't know, about 7. I said, I didn't know anything about a light. I didn't know that. He goes, oh, yes, it's your first time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And I don't remember much of that at all. I really don't remember. I was so scared and so nervous, but I felt good about it.
Yeah.
And I got the crowd to laugh, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's my long way of saying how I got into this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, but again, it's kind of like, I was kind of hoping with the original story that you were going to, oh, come on, stop calling me. I got to put on that do not disturb. I'm in an episode. They don't know this.
Damn it.
No, but like, I was kind of hoping with that story that that first comedy show that you went to, that the guy walked off and you were just like, fuck it. And you just like walked up on stage and started going.
You know what? Again, I was like more like I said, all of them were bad except for the first guy. So I was like, if I'm not as funny as these guys, then that would have been humiliating.
Sure.
But, and so anyway.
But it took 7 months.
Yeah.
From that that comedy show. Right. Before you decided to go on stage.
Yeah. Mainly because I had the opportunity. I mean, this woman said, hey, she was a great actress, very funny. She said, come on over. So then when I did, I was like, I want to do this. And then I did it again. I was out there again about 5-6 months later, and I did it again. And I did have the, I guess, I was the first person. I was the first comic, she said, to ever make a audience member walk. I told a joke, and the guy got pissed off and walked out. And I was like, wow. And afterwards, she said, we've never had anybody walk anyone. It's like, is that good or bad? She goes, that's the way it goes. So then I really liked it, and then excuse me, and then about I don't know, but a few months later, I write commercials, and I actually cast Paulo Sferro in a commercial.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, and I was talking to him about it, and he goes, hey man, you should take a class. And I said, oh, I didn't know anything about that. He goes, yeah, take a class. So he, and then a really good friend of mine is another director, a guy named Jordan Brady, who I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's got like 3 documentaries out about comedy. One's called I Am Comic.
Okay.
One's called I Am Road Comic, and I Am Battle Comic. And they're basically just, he had been a comedian, I think, in the 80s or 90s. He had a couple of HBO specials. Really funny guy. There's a director now, just a funny guy, and sort of a mentor of mine. Like, hey, you should do this. You should try this. So he told me about the same time that I talked to Paulos, and I was like, you know what? I should try this. So I took a class at over Dallas Comedy House and really liked it. Really liked it a lot. But the main thing I had to work on was I was just frightened up there. I was like,
that's the biggest piece. That is definitely the biggest piece.
And I remember I'm sitting there staring down, and Katie Evans was a teacher of that class, and she's like, hey, dumbass, quit looking down at your shoes. And she'd tell me that every time, and she was right. And so, I just really had to like get over that fear.
Yeah, that was the constructive heckle you needed, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, she was right. You're never going to go anywhere if you really want to do this. You can't do it looking at your shoes unless you're like, I don't know, Mitch Hedberg, who was who kind of made a career out of being totally afraid to say anything.
Yeah, but Mitch Hedberg though was like, he was a one-liner king.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
And he didn't really. he didn't really press on stories. That's like kind of, I think, my biggest difference is like I love one-liner comedy.
Yeah.
But I could never make that my style because I gravitate to wanting to be a storyteller. And so that, like Adam Hunter, I was just on his show. I was on his show actually on my 1 year mark. So that was last Thursday. Doing stand-up, so like that was a big deal for me. And then,
that's awesome.
And now that I'm like producing shows, I'm gonna start to put out my comedy clips, and so I'm really like I really wanted to dedicate this year into really honing in on the craft.
Yeah.
My competitive advantage was the fact that I am a professional MC.
Right.
I'm
you know that. Yeah.
I'm not afraid to go
Right.
on stage. Like, and I think you kind of heard a little bit in the episode I did with Kevin.
Yeah.
Deanda, that I would. In my stint when I was doing improv comedy at Second City, which I love improv. I think like not everyone's meant for stand up, but I think everybody in the world should do an improv class.
Yeah.
Like 100%. But during that stint, I did like 6 open mics, like doing stand up, and I went in with no material prepared because I just wanted to feel the heat of awkwardness.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel that dead air, and I wanted to kind of get over that, right? But I have no problem going on stage. So that was, I always knew, like, when I started doing stand-up, that I was like, I'm already ahead of the game to the majority of the comedians that, like, being like, let me try that.
Right. And that's a huge thing. I mean, for me, like I said, it's funny because it was the two things that I had to overcome is, like, memorizing stuff. It's like, oh, I got to memorize all this? And then just like I said, just kind of, looking at people and having, just not just up there. Even now, I'm sure I've only been doing it for, like I said, about a year. That even get up there and I kind of sometimes get too fast. I need to slow down, but it's just doing it. I mean, it's funny that I did it the first time, and then I did it the second time. I said it out in LA, this place called Mom's Bar in Santa Monica, and the second time I did it, I rewrote all this stuff, and again. What I found is the people who tell you, I mean, they're really good advice. Like, quit looking at your shoes, dumbass. And this, what she said was, she's like, you wrote all new stuff. Yeah. She goes, why'd you do that? I said, I don't know. She goes, you don't have a following, asshole. It's not like somebody go, oh, I saw this guy last time and he did the same stuff. She goes, no, get your stuff, write these jokes and work them and work them. And I was like, oh. And that's where, I don't know that a class can teach you how to be funny. Mm-hmm. It might, but what it taught me was how to do it.
Yeah.
How to do it. And that's what I got. And I took another class at Dallas Comedy House before it was Dallas Comedy Club and with Palos actually. And what I really learned there was sort of sort of the I guess the craft of it. I mean, do this and why open mics or what do you want to do in an open mic? It's like, oh, okay. Work things out. And that's why when I I was going to open mics and it's like, oh, some of these people aren't that funny. But then I see them on stage on the real thing. It's like, that guy's hilarious. How did he get funny in 2 weeks? And then I realize, oh, okay. He's up there just trying stuff out. That's how and it's just, you learn this stuff and you start realizing, because I don't know. I mean, before that, you kind of, the good ones look like they're making it up. Like they just walk up and start making it up. And you're like, oh, how do you do that? And you realize, oh, he practiced the shit out of it, and it made it sound like he was just making it up.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what I'm trying to learn and trying to get down.
Yeah, but, I think for me, it's been a process of elimination because I think you've seen me a fair amount that like I'm not typically saying the same stuff.
No, that's what I was going to say about you. I'm amazed that you. Like every time I see you, I don't think you say the same thing at all, or very, very little. It's like, man, how's he?
I do say some relative jokes that I have worked out that I will bring back because I know that it will hit. But like, it is very much a process of elimination for myself.
Right.
That like, I have a few of these jokes that like I know have gone and done well. And then, but I'm always writing. I'm constantly writing, and like even when I'm like driving Lyft and stuff, like something will just come, and then I'm like, I have to write it down. Even if I'm like voice texting it, and then later on I realize that it doesn't capture anything that I fucking said.
Right.
So I change it up, but I like I don't leave it to my brain to try and remember it later, right? And so I feel like I have too much to talk about. It was funny because I had this whole conversation with George. And I told him, like, you know what, man, I can do 20 minutes. I really think that I
Yeah.
can do 20 minutes. And he was like, fuck you. You can't do 20 minutes. Like, and me and George kind of were like going at it, but
Right.
he was coming though from like a really like big bro position where he's kind of like, no, dude, like, you really need to work into the material that you already have. Like, you really need to have a solid set. When I talk about like 20 minutes, that means like 20 minutes solid that you've worked out and you really know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Because like my thing is, I think my specialty, and again, is my competitive advantage being a professional MC, is my crowd work.
Right. Yeah, you're great. See, you guys like you, it amazes me because I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it well. And it's like, man, how do you do that? But when I've seen comics do it, I can't tell if, I don't know if this is a secret. I can't tell if, have you done those before and you've got them in the drawer in your mind? And it's like, when somebody says this, I can kind of go to pull this joke out and, I know that it's close enough. Or are you making this stuff up like on the spot?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I'm really good with like the quick wit banter.
Yeah.
I think that conversationally, you can see how I kind of engage with even the comedians. And so things that they say, like, I'm just kind of hitting it back with them and, just to get laughs type of thing.
Well,
but again, there are also, I think, like, there are a lot of different jokes or pockets that I know that they're kind of triggers. Like, as soon as I hear something like that, I know where to go with it type of thing. So to answer your question, it is a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But a lot of it though is in the moment. A lot of it is before I go even on stage. I always start off with my set with something personal with what's happening in the room right now. So people off the cuff, I kind of feel like that I'm gaining their attention just because I'm talking about the now.
Yeah.
Versus,
which is something that nobody else is doing or somebody else is probably not doing. So,
And I mean, I think though, like, it's kind of like either A, I'm going to open mics, or B, I'm going to shows. And I think also the thing I'm doing to take advantage is that I will hit up the comedian that is like maybe headlining or whatever. And I'll be like, hey man, if you want, I'll record your set for you.
Yeah. Right.
Just give me a ticket to the show. And like, it's always usually like, hell yeah. Like comedians want somebody to record it.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's a lot of discovery, and on the same note, stand up isn't for everybody, and I believe that stand up is for you. I think I would personally, I would like to hear a little bit more on like the advertising world, because I think there's definitely some subject matter to talk about it, like, because it's funny because just like comedy, marketing, advertising can be subjective, and ultimately,
it's totally subjective.
And what you're trying to do though is appeal to the masses as much as you possibly can. So I think that it's funny because I'm pretty sure that you've gotten concepts from businesses or companies or brands or directors, and you're just kind of like, the fuck, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like it's just cheesy, and you're just like, you'd rather be edgy. So I feel like if you were to maybe press into some of that experience a little bit, just maybe some of the individuals, you're not even personally name dropping, but I think that there could be something there. I think but one big thing though is that I think one thing that I've included into my comedy that I think I've heard Tommy Davidson talked about, and it was make sure the crowd knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And I think that is one thing that I carry for me. Like,
good idea.
I let everybody know I'm Shawn Kay the Showman.
Right.
That's who I am, right? And it's funny because it's like I've had haters, and I'm sure that you've met comedians that are just haters off the jump, especially when they know that you're fresh into the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's just everyone's just trying to flex, like, I've been doing this 10 years and I've gone to special. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you're not. What are you doing now? You're like, you're not working. You're at an open mic.
We're sharing the same space right now.
So it's like if we wouldn't be having this conversation if you were such a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But whichever case, it's I always put the showman thing. I remember one time I had this comedian that was just like, I was talking to another guy that I knew, and I was saying hello to him, and he was just in a mutual friend circle, and this guy in the circle was just like, hey man, are you you're that dude that calls himself the showman? I'm like, yeah. and then he's like, so you're still going on stage and going by that? Like, you still tell people that? I'm like, yeah, because I've been telling people people know me as that
Right,
for
yeah.
10 years,
Right.
like well before I went on
Right.
started doing stand up. He's like, oh, okay, because I've never seen you before. I've never seen you perform or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that's funny. I've never seen you perform.
Yeah,
I've
right.
never
I mean,
seen
it's,
you
you
do
know,
anything,
right.
you know? And he's like, well, no, I mean, I've just been in the scene for a while and I haven't seen you. I'm like, yeah, I have been in the scene for
Yeah.
a year. And I've been to many different clubs. I haven't seen you.
Right.
I'm like, where are you going with this, dude? Like, do you want to know my name first before
Right,
like
that-
you want to
yeah.
question why I give myself the title it is? I was like, how about this? I was like, why don't you do a Google search of me and just see me engulfed in that entire first 3 pages?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then-
that's kind of why. That's kind of why. I mean, when I first started doing it, I went by my real name, and then
yeah. So what that was actually going to be one of my questions.
Right.
When did our Heavenly Father come into play?
right after, you know what? Probably right after the pandemic. Only because it's something that I used to joke with. I got 5 daughters, so I always I came up with that. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago as just a joke. Hey, girls don't call me dad, call me our Heavenly Father. And so it's kind of stuck. And
Wait, your daughters call you that?
well, as a joke, yeah. But then I just, and then I saw, and then I just wanted something that I kind of wanted a name that I thought people would laugh at when they first heard it. I thought, okay, I mean, because it's kind of, I don't know, maybe I thought it was kind of a funny name. And
To
then
be honest, when I first heard and saw you, our Heavenly Father, I thought you were like a retired pastor.
oh, that's funny. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
actually
right.
have that type of presence.
Right.
You have, like, I'll say one thing is that your tone is very inviting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's one of those things where it's kind of like if you were given a sermon, people would listen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that you would also be able to make it comical and you would
Right.
be able to make it relatable. So that's what I thought.
Well, you know what? It's funny because, you try to figure out like a 5-minute thing and then a 10-minute thing and then more. I've got so many stories about my family, my kids. I actually wrote a book called Dear Midal, which is
That's what you write when you have only daughters?
Yeah. It's basically a letter to Midal. Dear Midal, you make a product that works, one week a month. Are you aware there are 4 weeks in a month? What the hell am I supposed to do the other 3 weeks? And it's basically, the book is, obviously it's tongue in cheek, but it's basically, you should hire me in your research and development department because nobody knows women as well as, I've got a wife and 5 daughters. And then the entire book is what I don't know.
Man, you and
Yeah.
Brian are really battling for that
Right.
sex trophy title.
Yeah.
He's come up on you on
I
one
know.
now.
Well, he doesn't have 5 daughters, so I think he only has 4. But anyway, but I mean, I've got just really a lot of stuff that I wrote that, I go back and sometimes like, oh, that's funny, but it's weird because, and this is another challenge. Because when I told some of those jokes early on, and you got a crowd of, people who are 22 years old, they're like, oh, I don't know what having a kid means. So they're not laughing. It's like, damn it, this is funny if you had kids,
Yeah.
Like the other, last year, we're talking about grandparent names. And one of my daughters was like, what did you call your grandparents? I said, I just call them grandma and grandpa. It's like, I called my grandma Korlowitz, and my other grandma Seward. She's like, you called her what? I said, Grandma Seward. She goes, how bad of a woman was she? I said, what are you talking about? You called her to her face C-word? I said, no. It's S-E-W-A-R-D, C-word. She thought I called my grandma C-word.
You thought she did that you called him a cunt?
Yeah. And I was like, Jesus. And that's, I mean, I got so many, but people will look at me like,
so funny.
Yeah. But people look at you like, when I started telling those jokes at first, they're like, well, I'm not a parent. If I had an audience that I knew was, 45 to over, I was like, I think I could pull those out. But so that's kind of what Our Heavenly Father was. I was going to try to tell more stories about, about having kids and stuff, and I'll get there eventually. It's just right now people kind of wanted to hear something different. So, if I want to get up on stage and tell, I just got to either figure out or just make myself funnier somehow. But
no, I mean,
yeah.
you are funny. I will validate that you are definitely funny, Kevin. I think to go off of what this Tommy Davidson saying that like make sure the crowd make sure they know who the fuck you are.
Right.
It's also knowing where the crowd is or who the crowd is too. And I think a lot of those questions, do we have any parents in the crowd?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Any people who enjoy breathing. I don't know, like
yeah.
whatever.
No. That's see, and that's good because stuff like that to me, like I haven't been doing. I mean, again, it's like I didn't write that before I got up on stage, so I didn't memorize it. So doing that kind of stuff will really help. Doing that stuff will help get the audience. That's a good idea.
Because I feel like that one strong thing that I've been seeing within stand-up is like keeping it almost like a dialogue, even though it is a monologue, because you want them to respond, right?
Right.
So I'm constantly, because that's actually where the crowd work comes in, because say for example, you're doing Comedy Arena and you're like any parents in the crowd, and it's nothing but a 20-some-year-old fucks,
right.
And ultimately, like there's maybe a couple claps, like woo, yeah, we're unexcited parents, That's where that crowd work can come in. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I'm talking about a world of responsibility to a bunch of motherfuckers who don't have it.
I did that one time. First of all, I got this George Red Speaks, who has been really my comedy mentor here.
That's my number one pendejo.
Well, here's what happened. I said I took some classes and I actually had a couple shows, and then the pandemic hit, and you started doing these things over. I mean, somebody tried to do some stuff, over Zoom, and that's the worst way to do comedy. So anyway, so I waited for the pandemic and did a couple open mics, and I was like, this open mics can be brutal. Yeah. And you're like, God, I know that's funny, but nobody's laughing. Only because, maybe it's not funny, but I've done enough, I've written enough stuff that I kind of know what I think is funny. But then I remember doing a couple, and I was like, man, this. So I remember walking, and I heard about George's open mic at Will Call, and this is in August of last year. And I remember telling my wife, I says, you know what, I'm going to try, because I was like, do I want to do this? I mean, this is what I want to do, even though I felt I liked doing it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try it one more time. And I remember walking in there, and there's actually a big crowd. There was a big party of, the best thing about it was like about 30 drunk people, which is the best. And they were drunk, and there was a big birthday party, and they were back in that back room. I was like, holy shit. And I went like 5th or 6th. So I was up there early, and the crowd was, and I really felt like, man, I got nothing but just the whole time. And I'd never done it before. And George was like, that guy was great. He goes, hey man, come back next week. And, so I came back the next week, and I just said, hey, if you never need help, hosting, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just asked him, and he was good enough to help me, so, and you
do a great job.
He's been great to really get me in shows. Anyway, he got me in a show. Really, I wouldn't, I've done a number of shows, and I wouldn't have done any of them without George. And, the frustrating part about it is I've reached out to other people, in other clubs, and it's like nothing, crickets. But anyway, so he got me in this show at Comedy Arena. It was like a red tape show. Were you in that one?
That was the one. That was my idea.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then I had to do a wedding on stage.
That's right. Okay.
And I was supposed to be on that show, but it was a great show, and you showed up as Jesus.
Yeah. Because I thought, you know what? I mean, because it's a long way to get back to around the crowd work. I thought, you know what? I've never done that before, so I'm gonna do crowd work, but not as our Heavenly Father. I'm gonna just dress as Jesus and go do it. And that way, I just took on this persona of insulting Jesus. And I was just like insulting people in the audience. And it was kind of funny. It made me laugh. And then I thought, I didn't like that. But anyway, it's just, you try things out, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. But we're going to take a short break right now. I'm going to use the bathroom, but then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk more to Kevin.
All right.
Insider Cloth is an innovative application to bring more clarity to all your everyday glass, screens, and professional lenses, where you don't have to worry about forgetting that microfiber cloth to get the job done. Insider Cloth is an iron-based microfiber cloth to apply to any of your clothes or professional wear, which resides on the inside of your shirt. General Fabrics create microabrasions to glass surfaces, and over time can reduce the clarity or visibility to your glasses, cell phone, or other glass product or screens. Super easy to apply and can be added to the inside of your common wear or even the specialty wear like men's ties or your pocket square. Go to insidercloth.com and apply the promo code DIACloth. That's DIACLOTH to get 10% off your next order. this is the last time you will ever forget your microfiber cloth. Here we go, and we are back with my guy, Mr. Kevin Sutton, aka Our Kevinly Father. So, Kevin, man, it's been an intuitive journey through this comedy game that you've been doing, and obviously there's always so much room to growth. But you obviously work in advertising and you do copywriting, which is what I relate to because that was my concentration in my B of A was copywriting. So I think that's what made me such a good MC, which makes you also a good host because you're good with the lines and being able to call out little attention to detail. But you've been a writer. You wrote some books. And I have one of them in front of me. It says, "Never wear a hat to a beheading." And these are 99 other pieces of Our Kevinly Father advice, a collection of cartoons by Kevin Sutton. Where can people get this book? If they want?
You can Amazon. It's like $10, $11 bucks.
Amazon, very nice. I'm gonna read a few segments in here, and all these illustrations are done by you as well.
It's just really. I mean, I'm not an illustrator, so I just.
But I mean, it's funny. It's funny because sometimes it's like you keep it simple. And that sometimes is what.
That's what I try to do is keep it simple. So.
Number 1, never trust a vegan cannibal.
Right. Don't do it, man.
And it says. The image says, "Really, Carl? A salad? I just don't know who you are anymore." It's a little picture of somebody laying on the table and a bowl of salad in front of them.
The guy on the table.
Or tortilla chips, whatever you want.
The guy on the table, if you notice, he's got
he's got pieces eaten out of him. There we go. There we go.
Because one of those cannibals was not a vegan.
There we go. I definitely love that. Number 2, never confide in your veterinarian. Reading, you see, is something that I'm still working on, as good as I am on stage. Never confide in your veterinarian that so far you've come up with 167 ways to skin a cat. And the image says, "I call number 12 the eviscerator. The eviscerator." I even trademark it. And a little image of a whole list of things that they're doing with the cat. I mean, this is like
it's kind of funny. It's just one-liners. That started actually with a series of I started writing these radio commercials for Midas about maybe 8 years ago. Like, never do this, never do that, never do that, and never get in a car that hasn't been serviced by Midas. And I started writing those down, and I wrote a lot of them that the client would never buy. I mean, one of them, and there's, never have role play, never do role play during sex. You're a Catholic priest, just admit it. I'll be good with it anyway. So I mean, things like that. So I started writing. And I think, you know what? I got a ton of these. So then I just started writing a lot, and then once I had about 100 of them, I just started like, what am I going to do? You know what? I'll illustrate them. And it's like, wait, I don't illustrate. So I just.
No, but I think that's what's perfect. Like one of my really, really good friends, his name is Scott Corchin. Shout out to Scotty, man. And he's a radio host and radio personality. And he has his older brother, DJ Corchin, who writes children's books. And he illustrates all of them. And he's gotten better as an illustrator, but a lot of his illustrations are very, very simply kept. But it's made it very popular. Because they're not just so detailed or extravagant photos. So I think this one is a very funny one. This is number 3. Never ask, "How's it hanging at a nudist colony?" Trust me, you really don't want to know. And I love the fact that you have 3 people, and the first person, it looks like they vomited. And you see the other 2 people, one has really saggy tits, the other one has saggy, hairy balls, and it looks like they vomited. It's like unporn. I mean, come on, dude! Like this is fantastic, and it's like a little bit of it's kind of like a comedy tchotchke of a book. Right. It is kind of beautiful, and so thank you for giving this. This is a very fun one. Like, I would bust this out to like my fiance and my roommate and be like, "Yo, check this out." So I appreciate this, man, because this is very, very funny. If you guys want to go on Amazon, look up "Never Wear a Hat to a Beheading," written by Our Kevinly Father. And while we're on that note too, because we're promoting stuff, and I want to gift you with something right now. Do you typically wear light colored fabrics or dark colored fabrics?
Dark.
Dark, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and if you can make a little video and post, I don't know what your social media looks like. This is one of our sponsors. It's insidercloth.com.
Okay.
So do you wear glasses?
Yeah.
Okay, so you wear glasses. You have I'm sure you have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And not everyone carries a microfiber cloth with them.
Right.
So this is actually a microfiber cloth that you can iron press on the inside of your shirt.
Oh.
So you have your natural clothes and your fabrics that a lot of people just naturally use to like clean up their stuff.
Yeah.
But
which is bad for them.
It's not good for it, right? It creates micro abrasions. So this is actually a microfiber cloth that you can iron press. It's always on the inside of your shirt and all that. So that's a little 5-pack, so you can put that on.
Yeah.
You know, your Costco pocket fleece jackets and all that kind of stuff.
Insidercloth.com. Ask for it by name.
That's right. And if you go to the website and type in DIA cloth, DIACLOTH,
that's cool. Thanks, man.
You get 10% off your order. So I like to you brought a gift, so I have to make sure you get it. But that's a fantastic thing that you'll never forget your microfiber cloth.
Right. So I mean, like I said, a lot of stuff. A lot of that book and a lot of what I do, I kind of hit on something that I think has been successful for me, is this whole idea about how stupid everything is. Mm-hmm. And, my whole act is it's a stupid world out there and just talk about it. And that's really what that is. It's basically just finding stupid things that we're going through right now and just making fun of them. And I found a treasure trove about 2 days ago. A buddy of mine sent me this, and I've got to tell you, man, I've got so much material I got to write from this. He sent me the Stanford University, the new guidelines on what you can and can't say and how you have to reword things.
Okay.
Oh my God! It is
to what regard?
To like I think it might be in their PR department or internally, but I don't know if they're trying to get their students to go along with it. It's the dumbest shit. Like you can't say like walk-in appointments. Because you know what? Some people can't walk. And it's like, and my point was, you really, who's going to go walk in? Oh yeah. Oh shit. I don't have legs. Fuck.
Yeah. Just
thanks a lot, you son of a bitches, for reminding me.
How dare you?
Yeah. How dare you remind me? Here's another one. This is the dumbest one in the world. You know what they said you can't say anymore? Rule of thumb. Rule of thumb.
I got to hear the reason for this.
And this is the explanation is so laughable. It's like, although there is no written history of this, rule of thumb dates back to the medieval times in England when a guy could only beat his wife with a switch that was thinner than his thumb. It's like, who the hell knew that?
No one knows that fact.
Nobody knows that fact. So it can't be
offensive
if you don't even know what's about. I mean, come on, really? And that's the kind of stuff you're like, I had this whole thing. My whole act about everything stupid. It's like, thank you for giving me another 10 minutes of material just to write.
Right.
It's just stupid. Like I just came up with this. Started the whole thing about you can't. They're not called homeless anymore.
Oh yeah.
Now they're the unhomed.
Yeah.
It's like how in the hell is that nuance even different? I mean, homeless or unhomed. Give them something else. Give them some other name like outdoor living neighbors, which is another stupid one. But changing it from homeless to unhomed means nothing. I mean, it's like and to me, if you're saying let's help the unhomed, what does that mean? If you tell me to help the homeless, I get it. Okay, I've got to help the people who are homeless in my neighborhood. Help the unhomed. It's like, what are they moving? I mean, what does that mean?
They're not homeless. They're bench abundant.
Exactly. That's what I was joking. They're not obese. They're just highly visible Americans.
Yeah.
It's like, I can see you more. And
I'm gonna read one more,
Okay.
and I decided to fast forward to number 69.
Okay.
And because I was just curious on which one that one. So number 69. And never wear a hat to a beheading, right? Never flush foreign objects down the toilet. That includes a Mexican sombrero, a French horn, and those Russian nesting doll things. And they were just, when will people learn English sheepdogs do not go in the toilet? Your image of a sheepdog and this stick figure just being able to hold it casually over a toilet. I mean, come on, dude. Like this is
stupid. It's stupid shit.
It's ridiculous, but that's what makes it funny. You know what I mean? Never. No, I just have to write number 7. Never have a pipe dream if you are a cigar. That's a good one, dude.
I don't even know what it means. But
I have no idea, but this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then here, like, I got to read the back. So, Nancy Kanan said, wrong on so many levels. Kristen James said, it's like Cards Against Humanity wrote a book, and I'm not sure the world is ready for it. Marcus Slavin said, there's always something within the details of simplicity that elevates the level of offensiveness to near genius status. Bravo. And then Suzanne Ayers said, it's like the farther side. So,
yeah, that's good.
I mean, this is entertainment, man.
Thanks, man.
Like, and it's especially for somebody like me that's not a reader.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have a book, and I might start a book, and I'll read like maybe the first few chapters, and then distraction hits in, and I just never pick up the book again. This is a very simple, fun read.
Yeah, one of the things I did is a couple weeks ago at an open mic, I just read a bunch of those. And to see what hit and what didn't hit.
Yeah.
And then I've tried to build something around it. But one of them I've told on stage before, it doesn't go over very well. It's never ask where'd the time go. It went to your thighs.
That's good though.
Well, yeah. For some reason, guys like that. Women don't. It's like, well, sorry, it was just a joke.
I mean, come on, though. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's funny. I mean, it's funny how like it's interesting because in comedy, like it's commonly said that male comedians are funnier than female comedians, and I used to kind of think that too. Until I started understanding that there's just way more male comedians than there are female comedians.
Female comedians are great. Yeah.
Female comedians are incredible, and you have to respect a female comedian because they are the ones that are actually getting the joke that even the ones that like are laughable against their own. And most females are just like, oh, they're mostly the first to be like, you can't say that.
Well,
you know?
Two things. First of all, most female comics, from what I understand, and from what I have such an uphill battle because most of the guys who are comics are assholes and they treat them like shit, or they're Louis C.K. whipping his dick out. I mean, that kind of stuff that I hear that guys do. I've never seen it, but if I did, I would probably smack the guy in the face. But because I have a wife and 5 daughters. But the way I've heard female comics being treated in this business is horrible. So the ones that make it, more power to them.
Yeah.
But
sure.
also, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I was really surprised. I would say 85 to 90% of the hecklers are women.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit. I mean, I thought it'd be a drunk guy. It's some women just scream shit at you. It's like, hey, calm down, take it easy.
Oh, you remember that one I did a will call? You remember that one?
Yeah.
I have that clip, which I'm probably going to be posting pretty soon because I have. It is funny you just said that because if I go back into my library to all the clips where I actually had hecklers, I'm pretty certain that they were all women.
They all are.
And usually it's like the drunk women are the ones that like always have something to say, right? And so like I remember that day.
Oh yeah, she was like,
because her purpose.
Yeah.
But when she walked in, you knew her purpose was to sit here and listen to these comedians and just fuck with them.
Right.
Like she had no other purpose other than to be like, oh, I'm just trying to see who can take my shit,
Well, it's funny because as a host, I'm like, I was like, because I've had people in there one time. I actually did have a guy one time just rip into Diego Rangel, and I was hosting, and so I went and got the bouncer, and I asked Diego, why'd you because he put up with it for like 15 minutes, and I said, why'd you do that? He goes, I never had that happen before. I just wanted to see how I could handle it, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
but at the same night, I was asking you and a couple other comics, should I? And they were like, no, we want to rip into her.
Yeah,
and you guys just ripped into her, and it's like, okay, you know what? I guess she deserved. You come in there, you start messing with people's time, and you start doing that, and it's about you. Then these guys are pretty damn funny.
Yeah,
and most of these guys up on stage have been have a hell of a lot more, cutting, wicked sense of, they can rip right through you. And you guys did. And it's like, I don't know if she even got that you were just like tearing into her, but she was pretty drunk.
Yeah. But again, it's kind of like in those moments, right? And I remember you talking to me about it. You're like, "Yo, should I get security?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
I'm like, because these moments are going to happen when you're actually on a real show, right?
Which is what Diego said. He wanted to see how he'd respond on a real show.
Exactly. And it's so funny. Diego's like the nicest dude ever.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm saying.
He's so like innocent. He's so nice. But like, so like that night, I remember being like, no, like let it ride, because again, the whole point of doing an open mic is to get a lot of these situations out of the way, so you're prepared when a real show comes, right? And so when she was operating the way she was, I was just like putting the bullets in the chamber. I was like ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had my set.
I
had my set and knew what I wanted to talk about. And then, like I had my phone reference and stuff, but like the nice thing is that now I'm not able to, I don't have to look at my phone as much as anymore, you know? And again, it's just repetition of going through the sets. But again, like I was ready to go. So it's just like I knew she was going to say something. It was just a matter of when. So it's like I went into literally like my first intro and just kind of talking a little few. As soon as she said something, I was just like, bitch, I was giving you 12 seconds before you fucking open your mouth to anything, And then at that point, at that point, it's like, let me tell you how I feel about you, And so like that was actually one of my strongest open mics, and it was like that was a special night for me too. I got off, and a guy was like, "Hey, I saw you were drinking a Dos Equis. I got you one because you were the first to really tell this bitch to shut the fuck up," But like a lot of the really serious comedians, like especially like Arun Rama, Sri Raj. First off, those guys are Indian guys that like when I started doing, I'm like, holy shit, there's like a lot of handful of Indian guys in this game. But that was the first time when they heard me, they were like, dude, they came up to me, they're like, that was the first time I heard you, like, yo, this guy is meant for this game. That felt so natural. That felt like so in the cup. That felt like you prepared nothing and you were just ready to go. And so again, that was a beneficial moment for me. And it was funny because even later, like I'm outside with the guys smoking a little bit, and we're on the patio at Will Call. And the people that she came with was a couple of guys. So the three of them are walking out, including this woman. And those two guys that were with her, they came up to me, and I thought they would have been like, "Hey man, you didn't need to like go." Sometimes they take it personally,
drunk guys are assholes.
But they were just, the guys were like, dude, that was awesome. Like that, the way you handled that, like we know how she can get. We know she comes here to fuck with people. She fucks with us all the time, and we're her friends, And so they're like, that was awesome. And so they gave me love on that card. But it's like I didn't say anything to her. But I'm like, I didn't give a shit anyway. I'm like, I'm not trying to be your friend. But
you just said something that it's funny how many, like you said, you, Arun, Shri, Rocky Deer. I mean, a lot of Indian.
Rocky.
I mean, there are females too that I'm missing that, but just those, you guys are all funny, and it's interesting because I can imagine there's a huge cultural bias from your family against doing anything like that, right?
Well, live entertainment in general, right?
You get to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? Or a doctor or a doctor.
Arun does. I mean, to give them credit, I know they all have day jobs, I believe. And then like Rocky's a lawyer.
Right.
And one thing I gave credit to Rocky is Rocky's a clean comic.
He's great.
You don't hear him swear or anything like that. Even more testament to it is one time I went to an open mic at the Revel in Frisco, and that one's cool because it's more of a music open mic, but music open mics give you more time. And so that's one thing I was like telling comedians. I'm like, hey man, I'm like, y'all, if you're like just looking for mics, go to music open mics because you need to challenge yourself with the crowds that you're put in front of. Music open mics, the crowds are not expecting to hear a stand-up comedian, and you get like a lot of times like maybe up to 10, sometimes 15 minutes to go up there and riff.
That's great.
And so at the Revel, that was another. It wasn't that night with Rocky, but the night that I saw Rocky had his 8-year-old daughter with him at the bar. I think it was like before like fall break or something like that. And so I'm like, who's this? And she's like, oh, this is my daughter. And like he made it in the presence where he's like, I do clean comedy because of her. I want to be able to do my comedy.
He's great.
And he's fantastic.
But all you guys, I think, I mean, you guys all, from I remember, can do a lot of clean stuff. But I'm just saying,
I don't think. I mean, I can.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not you.
I have to be so calculated
Right.
to not expressively just speak however I want to, right?
Right.
Because I mean, I am a natural cusser, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, I can do clean just because I do all these professional
Right,
events. I do
right.
corporate events, but corporate events even sometimes they'll bridge that envelope a little bit too.
Yeah.
You can be a little bit more adult because it is all
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
but adults.
right,
But
right,
at a
right.
wedding,
Yeah.
you have to be very calculated. You have to be clean. You have to be
Right.
appropriate. So like I give a lot of props to, like, you know, Rocky or any other clean comedian that goes up there. But yeah, like Arun has his masters and Sri has
Right.
like a day job
Yeah.
with doing tech stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
It is great.
So you know, I would say my parents probably are a little bit more disappointed
Right.
than
That's
theirs.
funny.
But
But you know what? I mean, let's get back to, you know, for me, I started doing this obviously, you know, late in life. And I think where my advantage might be in that it's like you were talking about, I don't need this. I don't need, you know, I'm not, this isn't my only, if this is my only source of income, I'd be homeless and live in my car.
yeah.
But I don't need to have like, oh my God, he's got to make it in the next 4 or 5 years, or he's supposed,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you know, I just do this because it's fun. You know,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
kids are out of the house, so you know, it's kind of something to do now. So.
But I think that also holds to a lot of, like, I guess, call it the bad energy from a lot of comedians who've been in the game for, you know, over a year, a couple of
Right.
years, 5 years, 10
Yeah.
years, or whatever, because comedy is such a non-linear path. You
Right.
can have your climb, you can then go on a tour and do a special, and all.
Right.
Then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
whatever happens that
Right.
you essentially kind of have to restart over from experience, I guess you can say. But there's a lot of bitterness that comes with it,
Right,
right?
right.
A lot of comedians are like, oh, why is this guy getting booked and
Yeah.
I'm not getting booked? Like, I'm funnier than this guy. And it's kind of like, you have to kind of just follow the path to
Well,
where it is.
you
I
can-
kind of came in to change
Yeah.
the game, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like,
Well, I just, the whole thing about I'm funnier than this guy, I mean, is there a meter?
yeah.
I mean, do you, well, this guy's a 9, this guy's a 6. I'm sorry. You know, I mean, to me, you know, funny is funny. I mean, you know, I look at,
And you're only as good as your last
yeah,
set.
yeah, right. And, you know, and sometimes, you know, I've seen guys who are great. They just, you know, they weren't good that night. But you know, so I don't know. The whole thing, yeah, I try not to get into that. You know, guys, I'm funnier than that guy. First of all, I don't think I'm funnier than anybody, so I don't have to worry about that. But I also were like, you know, I was like, you know, we're all just out here doing the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
we're all out here trying to make people laugh. And if you hit it big, God damn it, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And if Kevin Deanna hits it big, I'm going to kill myself. No, no, I love that guy. If he hits it big, more
Yeah,
power to
Kevin.
him, man. Fuck you, Kevin Deanna. No,
that's
but I
good.
mean, yeah, but I mean, honestly, you know, all these guys, I mean, you know, you look at, you start, you know, you like them, and there are certain people, you know, who are like, you know, who will kind of, you know, have a little snobbish attitude. It's
Yeah,
like, but
yeah.
you know what? It's like, whatever, man. You know, we're all doing the same thing.
You know, it's funny you brought up Kevin. And so, like, I had this whole thing in the episode with Kevin Deanda. And I said, I was like, Kevin, you know what your problem is, dude? I was like, your eyes are too soft. I was like, that's your problem. I was like, because, dude, you're a former Marine.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I'm pretty sure you've racked up bodies.
Right,
Like, you
yeah.
physically have actually taken life,
Right,
I'm sure.
yeah.
You know? And
That's funny.
And we don't got to talk about
Right.
it. But I'm like, but this comedy game, like, it's bringing out your best self.
He
and
was
your-
a Marine?
He was a Marine.
I figured maybe Coast Guard, but no, I'm just
No,
joking.
he was-
No. I didn't know. That's funny.
Yeah, so it's so in that regard, my advice to you, Kevin,
Yeah.
I'm like, you might be too nice.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like I think you have what it takes to talk some shit,
Well,
right?
yeah, you know, I do. Here's what I, and maybe I'm wrong. And again, I'm you know, trying to figure some things out. But like I said, when I told that joke and the guy got up and walked away, half of me was like, but then I was like, you know what? I mean, I kind of want people to enjoy me, you know. And I kind of don't want to be that guy's an asshole, you know. And as dumb as it sounds, because I was
But in comedy, sometimes asshole works,
Yeah, I
but
know, right.
it is way better for an audience to connect.
Yeah.
with
And my
who's on
point
stage.
was, you know, I mean, this is going to sound blind and glimpse of the obvious, but I think I'm funnier when I'm funny. And not trying to be edgy, and not trying. It's just I'm just trying to say shit that's goofy, or it's
Yeah,
you know,
and in that regard, that's also the same reason why so many people say to themselves, "I think I could do stand-up
Yeah,
comedy."
right, yeah,
you know what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah, right.
Because they're funny in a conversation,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's like the family that when I do an Indian wedding, they don't put in any regard to the MC. They think the DJ is the most important part.
Yeah, right,
and I'm
yeah.
like, yo, an MC is what gets you to the DJ, gets
You're
you
right,
to the
right,
dance
yeah.
floor. It's what hold the nights together. And so they're like, oh, but, you know, my family member, you know, he speaks
Yeah.
so well and he's very funny. But being funny in a conversation is
Right.
different than being a calculated funny person
Right.
on a stage
Yeah.
with zero support and
Right,
it's just
right.
you. There's a different mindset that happens.
I think one of the things that helps me is, you know, being in advertising and writing a lot of radio, because that to me is the closest thing to doing stand up. If you write a TV commercial, everybody comes out of the woodwork to approve it, to work on it. You know, I mean, the worst thing is if you do a Super Bowl commercial, because you've got like 5,000 people from the client side looking at it, their parents, their moms, their daughters, you know, their families.
Wait, you've done a Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah.
No shit,
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
There you go. That's great.
I did one. God, it was for Tabasco, and it was God. Actually, what you see is you see all these comets coming down from the sky and destroying things, like these burning fiery comets. And you cut up to heaven, and God's watching TV, not paying attention. He's missing his pizza with Tabasco, and then all of a sudden he looks down. And he's like, "Oh shit!" God didn't say shit. It's like, "Oh," and then you cut back, and it's like, it's just fireballs. But you have so many people come. When I write a radio commercial, it's like nobody cares. So you can write really, really funny radio because and kind of edgy at times because it's a voice or two and say, yeah, whatever. It doesn't cost that much, and it doesn't cost that much to produce. So that part of it, I think, is really what helped me. I think as a writing stand-up is that I just write that stuff all the time. And the other thing it helps is you got to, when you write commercials and you write stuff like that, there's an economy of, you got to get to the words faster. Mm-hmm. You got to get to, you have 60 seconds or 30 seconds, mostly 30 anymore. So you got to get to, you can't just, start in comedy, you start realizing, you know what, that part of the joke you don't need. I don't need to tell somebody, oh, it's like, no, this, people get that, and there's a shorthand. And I think that my writing and advertising has helped me get to that quicker, until, so.
I relate to that too, because I was noticing that in my starting jokes and stuff like that, I was saying so much because it's like how many times you've gone on the mic and then all of a sudden you have the light and you're like, what? I haven't even gone through half of my shit.
Right.
Because you realize, and that's why I record all my sets, because I'm realizing that there are, I'm like, man, I'm saying so much more than I need to.
Right.
I mean?
Yeah, exactly what and that's a discipline I learned from writing advertising. You don't need to, and then even now it's like, it's a little bit different because now I got to figure out, okay, it's, doom, boom, it's, you got, but I would do that in writing. You'd write something, and the third thing would be funny.
Yeah.
You'd write something, and it's kind of the same kind of rhythm that you try to do. I think on stage is boom, boom, boom. So anyway, it's that helped me a lot. I think as far as the writing part.
And again, there's always going to be room to growth. I'm gonna take a short break because I want to check on that camera.
Okay.
So enjoy our sponsor for just a moment.
All right, woo.
Yo, I got to take a second real quick to tell you about our sponsors that we have here for the Metro Icon podcast, starting with Insider Cloth. Now, Insider Cloth, y'all, is an innovative application to bring more clarity to all your everyday glass, screens, and professional lenses where you won't have to worry about forgetting that microfiber cloth to get the job done. Insider Cloth is an iron-pressed microfiber cloth to apply to any of your clothes or professional wear, which resides on the inside of your apparel. Now, your general fabrics can actually create micro abrasions to your glass surfaces, and over time, it actually will reduce the clarity and visibility to your glasses, cell phone, or other glass product or screens. It's super easy to apply and can be added on the inside of your common wear or even the specialty wear like your men's ties or pocket squares. Now, go to insidercloth.com and apply the promo code DIACLOTH. That's DIACLOTH to get 10% off your next order. And I promise you, y'all, Insider Cloth is the last microfiber cloth you will ever need.
And now for all those homeowners out there, whether you need to get a new roof or you have a home restoration project you need to get done, y'all got to hit up my guy, Teddy Johnson of D&K Contracting. He is the most elite choice of all your commercial or residential contract needs. Teddy Johnson has been proudly serving DFW and providing all roofing style needs, as well as gutter and siding installation, custom metalwork, kitchen and bathroom remodels, fence building, window replacements, and so much more. And especially when dealing with those tedious insurance claims, Teddy Johnson provides the most outstanding quality of work and customer service you won't receive anywhere else. You got to email him now at teddyj.dkcontracting@gmail.com. Get a free consultation on your next home restoration project or home repair. And of course, y'all, you know I got to talk about my businesses. Do It All Entertainment. For anyone looking to amplify their next live event, whether it's a corporate event, conference, or that special wedding celebration with your loved ones. Do It All Entertainment brings the highest and most dynamic performance entertainment with top quality audio and visuals. There's literally no limit to what we can provide and can be accomplished at your next event. So visit us at doitallive.com or email us at info@doitallentertainment.com. Mention the Metro Icon Podcast to get a unique offer on your next event package. Then, of course, we have DIA Media for your go-to media production and creative consultation needs. If you're looking to amplify your business or brand visual promotions and trying to start a podcast of your own, reach out to DIA Media through our Facebook page and mention the Metro Icon Podcast to get a special offer on your production needs. Yo, now I gotta tell you about my number one spot in all of Fort Worth. This is the Library Bar FTW. It's the most unique bar and entertainment venue located in downtown Fort Worth, Texas. From its chic library ambience, multi-level beercade gaming space, you can find the most dynamic events and party atmosphere you will not find anywhere else. And it's always the spot you can catch me at. Check out the Library Bar at 611 Houston Street, right at the center of downtown Fort Worth, and get everything you could ever want on your night out. Back to the Metro Icon Podcast, sitting with my guy, our Heavenly Father, or Kevin Sutton. He's known by the government. Man, it's funny. Like, this is why I do this podcast and I talk about this often, because there's just so much to discover through like the natural journey that came through, like, to where somebody is here. But I love talking to comedians, because I think stand-up comedians especially are all natural geniuses, you know?
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like there's some...
Can you come to my house and tell my wife that?
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Actually, I will tell all your daughters.
I'll give you her phone number.
I will. I'll tell all your daughters. And I was like, hey, man, give your man some love and credit. All right? He's doing this game. But, you know, but again, it's kind of like they see the world in details that a lot of people overlook, you know?
Right.
And so... to hear someone's journey, and it's like talking to Ali, right?
Right.
You know, a lot of things that he says is that, like, being blind was the blessing he needed to do stand up, which is what he was meant to do, right? So, I mean, again, it's like you haven't been doing it that long, but there's so much discovery that you're coming in and you're making these connections and you're building these relationships with people that you're taking along with you. You're like, oh, okay, you know what? Like, I'm able to attribute a lot of maybe some of the things that they're doing that I can do that's going to make me stronger. So, and again, another thing that you pressed on was like, oh, you know, I'm coming in much later in the game, you know, talking to, you know, prefacing that, you know, you're an old guy coming doing stand up. Right. I mean, like, I look at Kerry Day.
Yeah. Oh, Kerry Day's great. Yeah.
Kerry Day's phenomenal.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And he's older than I am, which is even good.
Exactly.
Like, he's dying first, then me, and then maybe Al.
Yeah, you got to beat Kerry Day. Let me just tell you that, Kevin. If you die before Kerry, I'm gonna say, I'm like, I can't believe that Kerry Day still surpassed you, bro. And that man doing gay sex. You know? And so, but you know, again, I don't think that it's like I look at like Colonel Sanders. Yeah. Right. Colonel Sanders started KFC at the age of 55. Right. He didn't even live long enough to see his company turn into a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar company. Yeah. Right. And so I think that the limitations that people put on themselves are the ones that allow them to be like, oh, it's too late for me, or it got this, and that.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of credibility you should give yourself to the fact that, like, yo, I'm doing this.
Well, one of the things that helps me is, I mean, again, my kids are, they're out of the house. So I got time to just sit and write, and I can, I just write and write and write and write. And it's like,
man.
And so, I can write stuff and try it out and then see if that didn't work. So, I don't have to worry. I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to do this, 20 years ago, because I wouldn't have wanted to do that to my wife. Hey, there's 5 kids. See you later. I'm going out to open mic. I wouldn't have done that. But now I can. And so it's like, you know what? I'll take advantage of it, So
Have you always done advertising? I mean, obviously,
yeah.
You've always done advertising.
We got out of college and did it. Yeah. So, so I've always
Where'd you
done
go to school?
Let's see what I went to school at Indiana University, and
shit.
that's where I met my wife. Yeah.
Both.
Well, yeah. Well, okay.
Here we go. Yeah. You wet that wife, Kevin. That's what I'm talking about, Kevin.
So, yes. So, since then, it's been, and I've been in Dallas since 96. I think 94, 90.
What brought you here? Was it just work?
A job at an agency here,
Okay.
And then, just been, it's funny because if I didn't have the kids and maybe had 1 or 2 of them, I might have moved on. But, because I had offers, but after a while I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pull my family up and go move and go chase a couple $1,000s more or whatever. So I've stayed here, and I really like Dallas a lot.
I love Dallas, man.
Dallas is awesome.
Being from Chicago, and I get the question all the time, like, well, I'm still doing events in Chicago, so I'm flying back numerous times throughout the year, and I have my network out there, and they're like, when you moving back? I'm like, fucking never. Like, I'm never. Because I mean, it is, people don't understand that Dallas or DFW is actually like a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
Like, the development out here is so ridiculous, but to the point of my industries, as far as entertainment and media, is growing at such a scale that people they're holding on to old reputation of Dallas and not what it actually is. Because a lot of people who travel to Dallas, they're thoroughly surprised on how current and how well developed this city is.
Yeah.
And so
we really shot the president once. And that was a while ago. We're not shooting presidents anymore.
And Dallas feels really bad about it.
Yeah, we do feel bad.
We do highlight it, but they're also capitalizing on the opportunity. They do have a fair amount of tours. Like, I think even Kevin Deanda has a joke about it. He's like they have a tour where, like, he died right here. This is where he died, right here.
I remember walking up, and people don't think. I remember walking up to the building, and there's a sign outside that says no firearms. It's like, well, now you put that up. It's like, where was that? Where was that in 62 or 63?
You were able to sneak in to a lot of other places.
Yeah. But now you can't, because now apparently there's a sign.
Yeah.
But the other thing people will say is, I heard people say, "Oh my God, have you ever been in there? Have you ever looked out that window? You're 6 stories up." I mean, people, you had to be a crack shot. No, I could throw a base 6 stories. 6 stories isn't that high. Go up to
Well, I mean, to be fair, I really do believe, like, to make a shot like that, one shot, and it's a headshot, and you have to make it count, and you're going after a president, like. To leave Harvey Oswald, to any credit he does get, I think it was pretty much a pretty good crack shot. Like, he's dead on.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't hard, but it wasn't like, I mean, 6 stories isn't that high. So
sure.
But anyway,
But I mean, you can't you can't get away with that. I think now it's just.
Well, an interesting point back then. Honestly, I'm killing the president was not a federal crime. That's why after all that happened, all the Dallas cops were the ones who were on the scene.
Wait, hold on. How is killing a president not a federal crime?
It is now. It wasn't then.
But how was it not then, though? Anybody can, like, back before JFK, You're telling me that anybody could have just killed the president?
No. You can't. It's a crime. It's a state crime. It's a crime, but it wasn't a federal crime. So,
okay, now I understand.
So yeah, it wasn't. I mean, the feds were all, it wasn't a federal crime.
Yeah.
So so that's why a lot anyway.
You should have killed him in Arkansas.
Yeah. Any state.
But rest in peace, JFK.
Yeah,
we
right,
appreciate
But
you.
anyway, getting back to Dallas. Yeah. Dallas I like Dallas. It's a good place.
It's a phenomenal place. And where are you originally from? Are you from
Indiana?
That's
Indianapolis.
That's where my fiance is from.
You were Indianapolis?
No.
Okay.
She's from Goshen, Indiana.
Oh, Goshen. Yeah, I've heard of that. It's up by Chicago.
It's by South Bend.
Yeah. Because I got a bunch of family from South Bend. That's right, Goshen.
So the way I always say it is that and this is most Indian people understand this reference, but if you're looking at the face of Indiana, it's the porta. It's like the
the dot.
Yeah, you guys call it the dot.
Yeah.
It's a beauty mark.
Oh,
right?
is it? Okay.
It's supposed to be like your third eye representation, but it's a mark of beauty. That's most women wear it.
Right.
But that's where it is. It's like dead center on the forehead of Indiana.
What is it called?
It's called different things in the different languages in India. In my language, it's called a porta. And,
how do you spell that?
Maybe like Potta. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Or
okay.
Potte.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Potta. Okay.
And then in Hindi, it's called a bindi.
Bindi? Mm-hmm. Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's so funny. Like that's like one of my jokes.
Those damn Hindis have a different word for everything, don't they?
But here's the thing: is like it's like telling the average white person, did you know that there's no such thing as the Indian language?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because like white people will be like, so when you are with your family, do you speak Indian with them? I'm like, no, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So like India has so many different dialects, and they're very vastly different from each other. Like the way my language sounds is very different than.
Is there a universal language then?
No.
Really?
Well, I would say the universal English would be English.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which a fair amount of Indians speak English because it was colonized by the British. So there's a lot of British English.
Well, they speak English because they're all the call centers. Yeah. Hello, my name is Carl. Your name's not Carl. Yeah. I love that. Your name is not Carl.
I had one bit where I was like, I got a call from a dude from India for sure, and he was like, "Hello, sir, my name is Roger." I was like, "Raj, just stop." You know that's not the full way.
I love. My name is Carter. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.
You don't even stop. You know? Yeah. Come on.
You know what's wild is I talked to a couple family members.
And apologize for the accent. So.
I accept. But I talked to people that have worked in call centers. And it's funny because in these call centers, especially when they are talking to customers in different countries, they'll have factoids of the state they're from, the area they're from, and being able to pinpoint personal references in order to like keep them on the phone. And I'm like, these data tracking motherfuckers, just like trying to just finesse. But I mean, to be honest, I almost it's hard for me unless it's like IT tech support. Like I don't trust anybody trying to sell me something from even my own country.
Well, the IT tech support's the worst because this is the thing that bothers me. It's like, I'm having trouble with my computer. Okay, you're having trouble with your computer. What's wrong with it? Well, when I try to log on, okay, you're having trouble logging on. You don't have to repeat everything I told you. You just stop repeating everything I just told you and just get the problem fixed.
Or they're asking you to check the basic things of sir, is your computer on? Is the screen active? Are you able to move your mouse? I was able to push the numbers to call you. I think I know and my shit is on.
Although I got to tell you, for them to answer that, there's got to be enough people. Oh yeah. I mean, they wouldn't ask that question first of all, you're talking about Americans, and most Americans are stupid. So I can see that answer that. Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, I guess I didn't. Is it plugged in? Oh, there was a woman I used to work with, and she had a wireless mouse, right? And when she quit, people were going through her desk, and there were like 9 wireless mouses or mice or whatever in her drawer, right?
Yeah.
And we realized
masseuses.
She did not. Yeah, she didn't know they had batteries. So when it stopped working, she ordered another one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we were like,
And she didn't take any of them with her.
no, because I think she thought, well, they're broken.
Disposable.
They're broken, yeah.
Disposable wireless
And, yeah, and
mouses.
so it's like, I remember just like, and somebody was like, yeah, she did order a lot of those. It's like, why didn't anybody say, why are you ordering so many wireless mice?
Yo,
You
I
know?
would have collected
Yeah.
that and sold all of them.
Yeah,
bitches
yeah,
on
but
eBay.
there was like, it was like, that's who you're dealing with
Yeah.
when you call. So you're dealing with people like that who are like, I don't know. So anyway.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Oh, so I guess in regard they have to
Yeah.
do their due diligence. and do the
They got
basics
to
and
understand
stuff,
they're
but-
talking to Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I feel like if you're also talking to like, I feel like that would be more somebody your age or older.
Yeah.
You know. But
Yeah.
like if you're
Right.
talking to somebody that seems young and comparable,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be. I don't know. Whatever.
I just saw this. There's a cop in Florida who, and I just saw this yesterday, who if you're speeding in the speed zone, he'll give you a choice. You could either get a ticket, or he gives you an onion and you have to eat the onion right in front of him. Seriously. So it's like, okay. And he said a lot of people eat the onion. He says, this is disgusting, but people are like, they're eating the onion rather than get a ticket. Yeah.
I mean, I guess would you
Yeah.
eat the onion?
I don't know, man. Probably not. Well, you know what? Maybe because
I think
then,
I would eat the onion.
Yeah, because
Wait. Do they get to peel it? Like,
I don't know.
Like,
But-
because if it's like an unshaved onion,
yeah,
that would suck.
Yeah,
But
I
if
did-
you at least
yeah.
can take the
Right.
the skin,
off.
off.
I don't know, but I just thought I saw that yesterday. It's like that's weird, but yeah, he said a lot of people, and I thought, you know what, I probably would take it.
Was he like convicted? Like, was that a crime in there?
No. There was they were fine with it. It's like just you got a choice. So Yeah.
I guess if they're worried, Florida, people, a lot of people get away with
Right.
Florida stuff, but we'll see if that cop's eventually going to become the Florida man.
right,
We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah. Florida, yeah, right, exactly.
There's plenty of those out there.
Right.
Well, shit, man, Kevin. I definitely do appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah,
and
hopefully this wasn't a total waste of
you gotta
time.
stop, Kevin. You got to stop with this. Hopefully it wasn't, and hopefully I did okay, man. You're awesome, brother.
All right.
Listen, I don't bring noobs, and I don't bring like stubs on this show. I
Yeah.
bring people that are able to provide
Thanks, man.
substance. You know, and
I do want to shout out to George Red Speaks again. And that guy he's been my comedy mentor here, and he's been sort of my Sherpa in this thing. And I really, for a guy just to say, you know what, hey, I'll give you a shot. I mean, nobody else has given me a shot. He's been giving me shots. So,
yeah, and to his credit, I will say yes, man. My George Red Speaks has
Yeah.
been such an advocate, not for you, for just
Yeah.
you, but also for myself
right,
as well.
right,
He
right.
was the first one to give me money doing comedy.
Right, yeah.
Right. And
Whoa, what?
yeah.
No, it's just-
Well, I mean, I was giving myself
just
that year. No, but yes. But did you hear? I told this story at the last time I was at Will Call, and I had to explain it to the group of women.
Okay.
But I talked about that morning. I had George, or the night before, George had called me and was like, "Hey, man, I need you in the morning, bro. I know it's a huge ask. You could say no, but I need you at
Yeah.
8 a.m. To take me to this thing to kind of do like this checkup, because he's still coming off with his DUI
Yeah,
stuff
right.
and being in prison
Yeah.
and shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, man, I got you. And he's like, really, dude? Oh my God, dude, I'll be ready to go 8 a.m. Show up a few minutes before 8, and like I could not get a hold of this dude for an hour. He kept me waiting, right?
Oh, no.
And I was furious, like,
Yeah.
because I was like, and I love George, like,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
right,
like
right.
my, like, I'm like, to this, to the regard, and he felt so bad,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just like, well, listen, dude, you just gave me material to talk
Yeah,
about, right? And so I like, it's kind of like, do you have those friends that like, for some reason you have empathy for them, even though when they fucking piss you off and shit, right?
Yeah.
So I like even left, and there was a crazy thunderstorm that morning. It was
Right.
a whole different thing, and then finally, like, he gets a hold of me at 9, and he's like, oh man, my bad, dude, man, my phone was dead. I'm like, that's why it rang every time my phone was dead. Have some respect, George. Have some respect. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. You're right, man. I feel some type of way too. And so I'm like, I gotta, like, it was just, I show back up at his place and come pick him up, and then I get out of my car, and you could just see he's just so apologetic. He's like,
Yeah.
dude, I am so sorry, dude. Like, I really truly feel bad. Like, I fucked up, whatever. and like I said nothing to George. I just took everything out of my right pocket and I pulled the pocket sleeve, my pocket inside out, and I just pointed to it, and he just like put his head down and he grabbed it, and I'm like, "Let's go, George!" And I made up for it by making it my prison bitch. That's pretty much. So I can only do that with George, but I remember talking about that at Will Call, and like all the girls in the front row were like. They were like quiet. They didn't like. They're like, what does that mean? I was like, ladies, let me explain it to you. All right, in prison, that's a reference to a prison bitch. And they're just like, oh, and I'm like, fuck you. That's fuck you. That's funny. Fuck you. That's funny. That's
that should be the name of your podcast. Fuck you. That's funny.
Yeah, fuck you. That's
with
funny.
Shawn Kay the Showman.
No. So this one, I'm like talking to a whole like not just comedians. I talk to singers. I even had an episode with a guy who owned a credit solutions company because I wanted to provide information to young entrepreneurs, young creatives about long-term planning. That's something financially, long-term planning. See,
that's what I don't have to worry about because I'll be dead in 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, but and you know, feel free to write me in your will, Kevin. I'm just saying, you know, like, you know. Speaking of which, with all the game that you're doing with these commercials and shit like that, bro, if you ever need that racially ambiguous, high energy character that can deliver,
racially and sexually ambiguous.
There we go. Yes, exactly. I'll go all ways for the paycheck, bro. I'll go all ways for the paycheck, Kevin.
I'm just agreeing with you,
but yeah, I'm trying to jump into the acting game, man. So
thanks, man.
Plug me up, Kevin. You know what I mean?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this.
I appreciate you coming on, man. It was a whole lot of fun, and you were great, Kevin. This
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Fantastic episode. So I end my episodes in the same way. I always have my guests just close off the episode with any final quote, phrase, word, saying that you want to leave off into the world. It is your opportunity.
Damn,
to
I
shine.
should have told me that before. Let's see.
That's the fun of it, Kevin.
I know.
That's the fun.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm a writer, and that's why I don't do improv because it's like, huh?
There we go. But that's the spot, Kevin. We put on our guests.
Yeah. You know what? I just want to say thanks to my wife and 5 daughters. You know, I wouldn't be here without them, and I wouldn't be anything without them. So that's what I want to do.
That's love.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks, man.
Wait, hold on. You have one more thing, Kevin.
And this is the worst thing ever. I want to say hi to my 2 new grandkids. I forgot about it. It's like, what kind of an asshole am I? I forgot. I was going to say that, and then I was like, oh yeah, my 2 grandkids, my wife, my 5 daughters, my 2 grandkids, and thank you, everyone.
Oh man, well, I mean, a good grandfather forgets the details, especially the important ones. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you.
You could do it all. You can.
Do it all, baby.